My name's Kelly Diuble, and I am going to tell you about my experience as being a foreign exchange student in South Korea. I tried to do some research before traveling to South Korea so that I would not have such a culture shock. And the next few slides are going to go over the different things that I learned before going to South Korea and then while I was there. Um, I did have to prepare myself to travel to a different country, to be away from my family and my friends, which is very emotional. But I was excited to do this. I had a great family that I was staying with, and I learned a lot from them. Um, so the next nine or so slides are going to be about my experience, and I hope you enjoy it. So then I packed all my things and I had my plane ticket and my passport. There weren't any certain vaccinations that I needed to get, just the regular ones that were up to date for the United States. Um, and I wanted to just research a little bit on when get to the airport and the family that is going to pick me up, how I would say hello and not offend anybody. So some of the research I did said that you could just do a small bow, but also waving hello and just shaking hands is totally acceptable. The family, when I got off the plane, they all gave me a hug and welcomed me into their country. So they're very warm, just very friendly people. So I'm very fortunate about that. After spending some time with the family that I was staying with in South Korea, I did see that there are a lot of similarities on how we form relationships and our relational self. I know that for me, I define myself largely based on my relationships. The people that I spend time with are very important to me. And the family that I stayed with, they are always in some sort of a relationship, and their family is very important to them, spending time with their family and spending time with others. Dating, it's funny because they are always, anytime somebody comes into the country, they're trying to have them meet other people so that they can go out and have fun. So it's very similar to the United States in that sense. The next area that I did observe when I was in South Korea was the level of verbal aggressiveness, and it the family that I was staying with and a lot of the people that I met, they were pretty much on the same level that I am, not being very verbally aggressive. It seemed to be the culture there also that you would always make eye contact with the people that you're talking to, and it's very hard for them to say no to things. So when they're asked favors, they um, have a hard time refusing to do those favors. So they sometimes are overextended, but they, like I said earlier, they really enjoy the relationships that they have. So they do a lot of things for a lot of people that they know. That's very similar to the way I am too. It is hard to say no to family and friends because they're a very important part of your life. The next area that I focused on when I was in South Korea was looking at nonverbal immediacy for communication ways. And I know for me, I use a lot of nonverbal actions. Even when I'm on the phone, I'm always using my hands, trying to describe things, even though the person on the phone can't see them. And then when I talk to people in person, I always use my hands. And then the other thing is like I try not to invade other people's personal space, and then I expect that in return. So the people that I came across in South Korea, and then also from the research that I did, they are along the same lines. They don't like people to invade their personal space. It's a little bit different when it's with family and with close friends, but for the most part, invading personal space is a no. And then again, they just always are making eye contact with people that they're talking to. It's just a form of respect. The next area that I observed when I was in South Korea was if people had listening anxiety. I know that when I've done assessments about listening anxiety, I don't have any. I enjoy listening to people. I like to hear their stories. Doesn't usually make me feel uncomfortable, and I think that people appreciate when you are fully listening to them and what even if you don't give any kind of feedback at all, just listening to them, just being there for them. And so in South Korea, they really emphasize that you need to listen with your eyes and your ears. So again, making eye contact, and it's a form of respect. So, you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking over the person's shoulder, you're always making eye contact when that person is listening. And then you just make sure that you are listening until they're done speaking, and then, and then responding appropriately. The next area of communications that I focused on when I was in South Korea was verbal communication in South Korea versus in the United States. The South Koreans, they don't always say everything that they're talking about. They usually leave things out, and then that what's actually implied in what they're saying. Whereas Americans, we just say exactly what we want to say. We don't usually leave anything to interpretation. We're very direct, and we don't imply things for the most part as a culture. So it's a little bit different, where South Koreans are more reserved in talking nonstop about everything, and then just kind of leaving some things for you to think about, and then you'll eventually get to what they were implying when they were talking to you. I did also want to look into what kind of skills I would need to be an effective listener in South Korea. I talked to the family that I was staying with, and it's pretty much what we do in the United States. We make eye contact, and you can shake your head and do a little bow and things like that. Effective listening is just not interrupting when somebody's talking. So it's basically the same as in the United States. Before I left for my trip to South Korea, I wanted to see what the culture is like, the social acceptance of Americans coming to South Korea. They are very inviting. They appreciate us coming over. And also, I did look into the economy in South Korea. They were once one of the poorest countries in the world, and now their economy is steadily rising. Um, and then the official language in South Korea is Korean. They do understand English very well, which helps things, because speaking Korean is very hard for me, at least. I think it's some small children, they pick up Korean very easily when they're taught it in preschool and things like that. It is something that you can wrap your head around at a very young age, but trying to learn it when you're older was very difficult for me. I did learn that the president of South Korea is Moon Jae-in. He's the chief of state, and he was elected in 2017 after the impeachment of Park Ji-hee. He is against same sex marriages, and he wants to raise the minimum wage for the people of South Korea. The other thing that I learned about South Korea is that they have a prime minister who is the head of the government, and that is Lee Nak-yoon. The main thing that, or the policy that he stands by, is for South Korea not to possess nuclear weapons, because if they possess nuclear weapons, then why are they would they be against North Korea possessing nuclear weapons? So that is something that that he does stand by. While I was in South Korea, I did get involved with two different kinds of groups. One of them was Habitat for Humanity of South Korea, and the this is based solely on volunteers and donations. The housing population has increased over 100% since 2014. And then the ratio of low income people, for it's usually the young people on their own, and then the older people are just low income and they can't afford suitable houses. And that's when Habitat for Humanity comes in, to build housing that is for these people. The other group that I got involved in, they're called the Soul Flyers, and it's a running group. We would meet on Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings, and just run around the city. It was a great group of people, a lot of fun. And all in all, I had a great time in South Korea. I learned a lot about the people there. They're just a really friendly group of people. I enjoyed my time there, but I was very anxious to get back to my family and friends.